Every new leader hits this moment, but almost none of us catch it. In those first 90 days, we give direction, but then maybe our eyes drop to our notes before we even finish the sentence. That glance looks minor, but it tells the team the leader is checking for permission instead of owning it. Once that impression lands, every instruction is going to feel optional. The hidden cost is how fast that optional reputation sticks. And what happens next decides whether the next 90 days builds presence or bleeds it. Here's the part that nobody warned me about, and maybe nobody warned you about. Your team isn't watching what you say in those early days, not nearly as much as they're watching how you carry yourself while you're saying it. Tiny behaviors suddenly become huge signals. And that little glance at your notes, it's not about the notes. It's about what your face does. You didn't see it because in your own head, you're trying to say everything right. But your team saw the hesitation. They saw you double checking yourself. They saw you retreating into your paper instead of standing in your authority. This is where most new managers slip up without even realizing it. They think, I'm just being thorough. But what your team thinks is, you're not sure. And that gap between your intention and their interpretation is where your credibility will leak. This is very important. I don't know why I had to tell you this, but this is very important. People don't listen to the words of a new leader. They listen to the leader's confidence. And then they decide if the words matter. And when your eyes drop mid-sentence, you tell the room, without meaning to, that your confidence isn't there. Here's why this matters more than you think. Your first 90 days are not a trial phase. It's a branding exercise. Your team is forming your leadership profile in their heads faster than you think. And once they build it, they're going to stick to it. And if you come in soft, unsure, defaulting to notes or slides or scripts, you're teaching them to treat your direction like it's a suggestion. Not because they're rebels, but because that's what you told them, non-verbally. You told them that you're not ready to own the room yet. That's how optional creeps in. A missed deadline here, a half-followed instruction there. Suddenly, everything has a question mark attached to it. And the worst part, once they feel like they have to double-check you, you lose the benefit of the doubt. Now, every decision requires a meeting. Every direction requires clarification. Everything takes longer. Not because you're a bad manager, but because your presence didn't land the way you hoped. And presence is one of those things that's incredibly easy to lose early. And it's painfully slow to rebuild later. Now, the fix is not to just be more confident. That's useless. The real fix is taking ownership before you step into the room. Most new managers prepare their notes, but they don't prepare themselves. So here's the shift. You speak from clarity, not from the page. That means you decide out loud to yourself what the point is before you ever talk to your team. One sentence, one takeaway, one clear direction. And once you know that, you don't need to cling to your notes. You're not delivering a speech. You're leading humans, and humans trust leaders who speak like they're sure of where they're going. This is the moment where your posture, your tone, your breathing, your presence start doing all the heavy lifting. Not because you're acting, but because you're not scrambling. You know the destination. You know you're guiding people to it. And right here, before we get deeper, let me say this. If this is the exact kind of leadership moment that you keep catching yourself in, where you feel like you're trying to sound confident instead of actually being confident, this is literally the work we do inside the Better Boss Club. It's where you stop managing on your heels and you start leading from a place of clarity and a place of presence. And you don't just join as a follower. You're a member. You're part of the community. So if you want that kind of support while you build your leadership skill set, come and be a part of it. Okay, back to this. The fix continues with a small but powerful rule. When you give direction, your eyes stay on the humans, not on the notes. Glance before you speak, not while you speak. One clean check. Then pick your head up and deliver the sentence like you mean it. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be intense. You need to stay present because presence communicates certainty even when your stomach is just, whoa. Maybe that's just mine. Now picture this. You've got a morning huddle. It's your first week. And you've got a page of notes because you want everything just to land perfectly. Before the meeting starts, you look at that page. You find 3 things that actually matter today. And you circle them. Not paragraphs, not bullet points. Just 3 things that you need humans to walk away with. Then close your notebook. Yes, close it. When the huddle begins, you don't read, you don't flip pages, you don't stare down at your shoes hoping that the words don't fall apart. You look at your team and you say what matters. Not perfectly, not a TED talk, but it's clean, direct, and present. Because now you're not trying to remember everything, you're focusing on delivering something. And here's the magic that most managers miss. When you speak from clarity instead of notes, your tone shifts, your shoulders are relaxed, your eyes stay steady, your team feels a leader, not a lecturer. And that single shift, those tiny few seconds, they set the tone for your next 90 days and the 90 days after that. People listen differently. They follow differently. They respect differently because you didn't start weak. You started present. You started clear. You started like someone who owns the room without forcing it. And that is the part that your team remembers. And what I want you to remember is that this is what we talk about on this channel. So if you found it valuable, hit subscribe and consider joining the Better Boss Club because you and I, we can really connect. Okay, get your coffee. See you in the next one. Ciao.